October the 15th, live from Staples Center in Los Angeles. It's going to be live on HBO pay-per-view, and it's going to be supported by an amazing undercard as well. We are going to have the semi-main event, so to speak, is going to be a World Championship fight for the WBC Lightweight World Champion, the title which has been vacated by Humberto Soto, and he moved up in weight. And we're going to have Antonio DeMarco versus Jorge Linares, two-time world champion. Jorge Linares is going to challenge for that title. And before that, we are going to have another amazing showdown, and that's going to be Kendall Holt versus Danny Garcia. Kendall Holt and Danny are both here, and we're going to introduce them in a little while. We've done many fights at Golden Boy, and I think we came up with many good titles. There was the World of Weights, there was Lightweight Lightning, there were all these great titles, but I really have to say, I think Gary, together with Gary, we really came up, I think, with the perfect title for this fight here. I really think it's the best title we have ever come up with, believe it or not. Because it really is amazing when you look at the accomplishments of Bernard Hopkins, how many times he has beaten the odds, and how many times he has made believers out of us, and yet here at almost age 47, he's going to go and do it yet again. Ripley's, believe it or not, is a tremendous organization. It's a global organization with a worldwide presence. Here in the United States, they have many museums. The one in New York is right across the street. And I encourage, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, go by and stop. It really is, believe it or not, it's amazing. And they have about 12 million visitors across the country in their different locations, and I really want to thank Ripley's, believe it or not, for making their platform available.
For coming here today. We had a great press conference in LA yesterday. We spoke for about 3 minutes. Bernard spoke for about 28 minutes. We'll do all our talking in the ring. It is a great card. Thank Mark Taffet, HBO, pay-per-view. I think what Richard and I wanted to do more than anything was give the fans not just one great fight in Bernard and Chad, but give them a great pay-per-view card under it as well. And as you heard Richard say, Linares and DeMarco is a great fight. It's a 50-50 fight. Danny Garcia, young up-and-coming fighter, against Kendall Holt, former world champion. I believe probably the best 140-pounder in boxing today. Certainly punches harder than anybody else in the 140-pound division. I think it's going to be one hell of a great card. For those that are going to Staples, they're going to see it live. For the rest of you on pay-per-view, you're going to get your money's worth. We guarantee it. Richard, thank you.
To hammer it in, I'm going to be crazy, but I'm not stupid. Here we go. Oh! Ah! Just kidding, just kidding. Let's take this all the way home. Oh, yeah. Thanks, five people. Okay. Let's get this nail out. This is the good picture here. Here we go. Yeah! Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, Ripley's Believe It or Not Sideshow Wonders. Times Square, come and visit us. We do live sideshow all day. Like I said, short and sweet. We're just glad to be a part of this event. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys.
First of all, I want to thank God. I want to thank Golden Boy Promotion. I want to thank our Heyman. I want to thank my family. I want to thank all the fans. And like my dad said, growing up, 10 years old, I started boxing. Been boxing for 13 years. It's always been one of my dreams to perform on the top level like this, top stage, HBO pay-per-view. And you know, like Brother Nazim told me when I was young, everybody gets their chance to eat at the table. Everybody can't eat at once. And I remember that since I was a little kid. I couldn't win nationals. I was like, man, why can't I win nationals? Nazim told me one day, you know, you will eat. And I think this is my time to eat. October 15th, HBO pay-per-view, me against Kendall Holt, great champion, former champion. But I think it's my time now. I came too far. I sacrificed my childhood. I sacrificed everything I had. I'm still away from a lot of bad things in life. Just still on the straight road, and I feel like it's my time now, October 15th, and I just want everybody to watch. Thank you.
All right, let's get the show started. This is the belief side. This is the knots. You're in the wrong place, sir. At the end of the day, we had to move the young girl in LA yesterday to this side. Not going to happen on October 15th. Not going to happen for you, Danny. Not going to happen for you, Hopkins. Not going to happen for Linares. This is going to be a Gary Shaw production. Big night at Staples. And you're going to find out why the believers don't come true. For those of you that are basketball fans, I'm sure you remember the Miami Heat, the ESPN sideshow with LeBron, the millions they spent, and at the end of the NBA season, it was Dallas with the trophy. This is the Heat, this is Dallas. They all understand that. I know Danny Garcia well. Danny may not remember, but I went to a few amateur tournaments to see him and try to recruit him myself. So it's a shame that you went with Golden Boy and gonna taste this defeat, but that's what happens.
Believe it or not, you did.
That's it. Mr. Garcia, I don't know how good of a trainer you are, but the way you speak, you should be a promoter. And let me introduce you to Kendall Holt, an American. So, Kendall is a USA American. He's managed by Brandon Jacobs. So if we can't beat you in the ring, we're going to kick your ass outside the ring. I believe Kendall is the top of the class at 140 pounds. I don't believe anybody can punch harder than Kendall Holt. And those of you that have seen his last couple of fights and seen his put his opposition to sleep know how hard Kendall can punch. Kendall had some bumps in the road along the way recently. We've overcome all of those. He's had some big wins. He's ready for this fight. He'll tell you how ready he is. You're going to see a great fight because Danny Garcia is a hell of a young kid with very fast hands. But he's never felt a punch like Kendall Holt has. So you're going to get the young guy with the fast hands who thinks he has power versus the guy that we know has power. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Kendall Holt.
First of all, I'd like to thank God. I'd like to thank Gary Shaw, HBO, Team Garcia for giving me this opportunity. I'm just happy to be here. Not only because I'm fighting, but because I'm sharing the stage with two great champions. A lot of the guys in the press have been asking me, am I surprised that Garcia took this fight? No, I'm not surprised because he wants to prove he's the best. In order to become the best, you have to beat the best, and I am one of the best. I've seen Danny Garcia when he was coming up. I've seen him fight before, and I looked at this kid and I said, this kid has a lot of potential, and you see him fight, and you quickly, if you ever seen him fight, I became a fan of his. Like, I can't wait to see this kid in the future. But Golden Boy's done a good job with him, bringing him along, getting him in the right fights. Up until now, they fucked up. Like Gary said, I stumbled, but I know what it takes to get to the stage. I've been on the stage before. I know what it takes to get here, and I know what it takes to keep going. Garcia, I've seen you fight. I like the way you fight. Your father did a hell of a job with you. Golden Boy did a great job with you too, picking the right fights. But I don't know, who's over there doing the matchmaking. But this is a bad choice, bad choice. But I know a lot of people out there asking me what's my game plan for Danny. You know, my game plan is to go out there, throw some fast, hard punches, hit him more than he hits me. Basically, I'm not going to tell you. Don't ask me. Don't call me. You know, it's going to be a great fight, you know, on both sides, you know, of the Miami Heat side and Dallas Mavericks side. You have, you know, the crafty veterans versus the young guys. And we being the young guys, we're going to win. We're going to win spectacularly. I like Chad. Chad's one of my favorite fighters. Bernard, I learned a lot from you. Brother Nassim, learned a lot from you. You guys mean a lot to the sport. And it's gonna sadden my heart to see Chad walk away with that belt. And Garcia, you will become champion one day. And like your father said, you will become a top fighter. It just won't be October 15th. I don't know why he kept saying that date, because on that day he fights me. And on that date, you know, it's his biggest step up. And, you know, a lot of people stepped up their first time. They thought they was ready. They didn't know they was ready. Thinking comes from not knowing. I know I'm ready. So I'm gonna conclude by saying you already know me. You know, I don't back down. I lay backs down. October 15th. Tune in. Peace.
CBC and walk away with the ring bell, Chad Dawson.
I want to thank everybody for coming out, the media, HBO for having me on again. I want to thank Bernard for finally taking the fight. I want to thank Gary Shaw for having faith in me and still put me on. And even though I had a bad loss with John Pascal first time out, then Bernard came back and beat him after that, beat him twice. Because I thought Bernard won the first fight. It was a good fight, but me and John Pascal are two different fighters. I'm more of a laid-back boxer. And a lot of people think I can't punch, but October 15th, I'm going in. I'm not going in for a decision. I'm going in for a knockout. Bernard Hopkins is 47 years old, 29, and honestly, I don't see any way he can beat me. I thought that for the last 3 years, and I still think it now. And Bernard's gonna have to be on the A game on that night because it's over. Thank you. That's all I got to say.
Assalamu alaikum. Quickly, I wanted to mention a few things. One is, make sure, please, I'm focused on Chad Dawson, awesome young fighter, but make sure in our room we have a monitor so that I can watch some of these kids on these undercards. But I watch most of these kids grow up and they're outstanding. That Linares kid is a beast. I watched Kendall Holt, I watched Danny Garcia since he was a baby. Danny used to have a rough way to go, and I used to tell him, listen, we all gonna eat, we just all can't fit at the table at the same time. And I told him, it's his time to eat now, and he's showing it. You know what I mean? So I watched Kendall Holt since he was a young fighter in the Golden Gloves. And I've worked with Chad Dawson in the amateurs and took him to tournaments, and a phenomenal young athlete. So I have a great deal of respect for these young guys, and this undercard is going to be awesome. I just want to say that first and foremost. You know, now, in regards to talking about Bernard Hopkins, you can't speak about this man with anything other than respect. If I was sitting across from him, I still couldn't have anything for him but respect. Because he is the reason a lot of these young fighters are on the card. Chad has been watching Bernard a lot more years than Bernard has been watching Chad. We know that. Because these kids grew up admiring Bernard Hopkins and learning from Bernard Hopkins. So you have to see the respect in the format that he laid before these young athletes. In that, I thought about putting some kind of plaque together, you know, and acknowledging my team, Danny Davis and Sharif and Malik and Moses and all the guys on the team. And I just couldn't come up with anything. I wanted to do something for Bernard Hopkins because I really don't think y'all understand what I'm saying. The old timers will tell you about Ray Robinson during that era. This is the era you're living now, Bernard Hopkins. And the best I can do, I couldn't come up with much, but I did something that I think, well, he can understand because I've known Bernard for years. So I know he'll understand this if nobody else does this. The one thing I wanted to do is Bernard handed me this, my payment for the Pascal fight. He handed me this after the fight. And he was so outstanding, and I've just been trying to find a way to honor him. I just can't come up with anything. And what I was going to do, at least because I know Bernard for years, I'm going to hand this back to Bernard Hopkins and tell him it's been an honor, and that fight working with you was an honor, and that team working with these guys was an honor in that sense. that was enough for me. I don't know how to do anything else for you, man. Because what you've accomplished in boxing, I'm a boxing fan first. And what this man has done in boxing, to say you don't like Bernard Hopkins or you got a problem with Bernard Hopkins, then you don't like boxing. Because this man has done everything. He's not only been a great fighter for years, he's been one of the great characters. He's been one of the great personalities. You reporters know, you know how many pages you put out on Bernard Hopkins when there was nothing to write. You thought sometimes to me, call Bernard. Because all I got to do is say, Bernard, give me a quote, and then you're going to need 2 more batteries in your recorder. And Bernard took care of you. But he was always there saying something inquisitive, something entertaining, but you can't remember any time he didn't say something that wasn't accurate. I argue with him all the time. I argue with him more than anybody else. But sometimes I just sit back and say, man, I don't want Bernard to be this right. You know what I mean? Because usually he won't stand up unless there's something accurate he wants to put forward. So this is what I'm saying. It's been my honor and my pleasure to work with an athlete of this magnitude. Chad Dawson is a great young man. I'm not quick to give everybody great champions and things of that nature, and it takes time. It takes time. I believe in Chad. I believe Chad as a young light heavyweight, I've said he might be the most technically sound of the young light heavyweights. He may be the most technically sound. Pascal was definitely the most dangerous, as Chad found out. But Bernard has faced all of these things before. And what you have to understand when you deal with us and when you deal with our team, when I'm talking about my team, I'm talking about our entire team. When you deal with us and you deal with our team, we've taken that walk. You're not going to intimidate. There's nothing in boxing you're going to do that's going to intimidate us, because we've seen it. We're not going to be intimidated. We're taking that walk. It's ignorant to say, did you see him lose to us, Southpaw? Every reporter face I saw change and known him for the years, because they're saying that's the only Southpaw that's ever gotten past them. Ever. You cannot underestimate this man. You must speak of him in respect. This is a living legend. This is a great athlete. Everybody else, I remember years ago, a trainer told me, as a young trainer, old time trainer told me, he said, every 20 years or so, something great comes along. Everybody in between is just a good fighter. Eddie Futch told me that years ago. And what you have to understand, this is one of our legends. Celebrating now. Let's not wait. Celebrating now. I thank you for your time, and I thank you for your patience.
So I don't really have to repeat it. I see a lot of faces, a lot of reporters. I see the Tom Hauser, Bernard Fernandez, everybody. All my guys that either wrote their opinions, which I respect, and sometimes they went other ways and sometimes they went my way. It's only opinion, but I want to feel something, I want to correct something real quick, because it's not really a correction. It's a lot of money here, and I didn't expect Nazim. This is not, we promote, but this wasn't in the plan, and there's someone out there in some place, not out in this crowd, but that we can take this lot of money and donate it to a situation that Nazim feels that need to be supported, whether it's breast cancer, which my mother passed from, which is anything that his family might have suffered, and we can take it and do something good. So I give it back to him and say that from you to me, or me to you, we'll take this money and put it in a place where it can be productive and a worthy charity. So, there you go. And Nazim spent a lot of his times in camp, and we're going to talk about the fight real quick, but I want to say that Nazim, was not in camp the whole 90%, but we managed it on the phone, and Moses and Danny Davis and of course Sharif and my guys, we held it down, but Nazim has paid such a price being in my camp. And when you analyze things, you know that he has to eat too, and he has to provide for his family, and he has to see the deers and the acres and the things that life brings you when you work hard. So we was good and we was cool. So basically, I feel that he's getting his pay no matter what stage of that and what time he put in, this fight, next fight, whatever. But he will be here from day one to the end to do what we have to do. And my team will come up with a plan that we already really had, but we will add more to it as time go on. I'm not getting bored with this press conference and things because I've been doing it so long, over 20 years. But I always have something to say because every time I fight, I want to be able to say something that the world and the media has to remember or at least look out for. When you get tired of making history, when you get tired of competing, you can be in denial, but you will get exposed. One thing about boxing, than any other sport, basketball, you can call timeout if you're tired. You won't say you're tired, but you just need a break. Football, you can call timeout. In boxing, either you fight or you quit. They're the two things that can make and break your life and your career as a fighter. And some never recover from that. I am not a proven example of that, but I have proven that with other people. No names, no blame. We ain't got to mention names, but they haven't been right. There's not too many fighters that people can fight and say, you know, every time you fight that guy, every time that guy fights someone, it seems their fighter will never be the same. They're different, or they never recover. That's the chance you take when you fight a Bernard Hopkins. Now, you hear Chad Dawson, you hear Kerry Shaw, you hear everybody saying their opinion, and this is promotion and all that, but I believe they're real about what they're saying. The only thing they're wrong about is I duck no one. Boxing world is too small to run. What I've done is use my Fox mentality and curated something in the light heavyweight division that was missing after the Bernard Hopkins and Joe Gazaki fight. As a southpaw, for the record, I am 12-1, and the one loss is a split decision to Joe Gazaki, which most people would say I won that fight. But nevertheless, it is what it was. I love fighting southpaws because I'm very unorthodox myself. I don't do things regularly, and I'm not a regular fighter. Case in point, look at my history. Look at my record. You take Chad Dawson and you take my resume. We've been applying for a job, right? Okay. Okay. Harvard Community College. And who you want to hire? Now, no disrespect to community college because they mostly in the inner city, if not all the time, and they do help stepping stone to get there, but y'all know what I'm saying. We're having fun, but I'm letting you know that I'm not ignorant. I know that it plays a good role where it sits, but you're hiring these two individuals, or at least make an attempt to hire someone, and I'll give you my resume, so I don't have to bore y'all with my resume. These faces are common to me, y'all. My face is common to most of the reporters, if not all. But I still have the fire and desire to beat up the so-called fighters that claim that they know it all. And so anybody that's 40 and up club or knocking on the door 40 or they're 35 and you still can get in, you feel like you're 40 for some reason, welcome. Welcome to the 40 house. Because at the end of the day, one thing that age and wisdom, it can't be compromised. Now the physical can, depending on who you are. Chad Dawson has two problems. He have a guy with a PhD in what I do, and he also got a guy that said 46 on the birth certificate, but it can easily be argued he's 10 years younger than that when it comes to the physics side. Now I am not the same person I was at 26, but I don't feel nothing like the 46 that someone might feel or younger in this building today. And I boxed for 20 years, in 60 plus fights, without even adding in the amateur fights. So again, I don't want to bore y'all with things you already know about me. 1988, I started my career. I believe Chad Dawson basically wasn't in existence, rather, as far as boxing. 1988. Chad Dawson, well, had parents. Well, I like to see diapers. But whatever it was, I'm fighting another young, strong, tall, light heavyweight. And so I don't want to downplay that I'm that spectacular where that doesn't play a point. Because me and Father Tom, we always debating whether this the time or not. Oh yeah, I get cramps. I get aches. I'm human. Trust me, pinch me, I'm gonna say ouch. But watch come March 15th to see if I either kept him away or if the family come that night. I think that's what I got to tell people, that I'm human and I'm willing to take that chance. I'm willing to walk that tightrope without a safety net in the air to say that this what fighters mean and this what fighting mean to me. Because if I fight someone that's my age or close to it, y'all not interested in that. But to be daring and to be brave takes courage. And I could have easily said, I don't want to fight Jean Pascal, but he called me out. I'm home in my rocking chair, minding my business. Nice cup of hot chocolate. He calls me out. So, Chad, I had no problems fighting you back then, but what did that do for me going forward? I know I can beat him. But what's after that? Now we got a story. We got to build up for controversy. This is what TV loves. This is what promotion about. So Bernard Hopkins really did Gary Shaw the promotion, and Chad Dawson. They didn't understand it then. I did, but they understand it now. Really, I started really a buzz again. Think about it. The light heavyweight division is alive and pumping right now. Why? It's because the 70 push-ups, but it's because of the activity of the last two fights. He had a chance. Chad Dawson had a chance to stake his claim in Canada. I went to Canada voluntarily. I could have had that fight in Staples Center, which this fight is at come October 15th. But he fell. So he gets another opportunity to do it again, Richard. He get another opportunity to do it again, Gary Shaw. He get another opportunity to prove. Remember, he was there already. He fell in Canada. I rescued the division and brought it back. And now he has a second chance to prove his worth. And after October 15th, he shouldn't be on nobody's ratings in the top 10 in any book. And if I see it, you need to retire. Because he gets the second chance. And the second chance is going to be very painful. Because I know me, Chad know him. And let me tell you, I got a rule book that I'm going to systematically break down. And when he realized that this fight is not the fight that he was looking for, that's the game changer. We don't need 12 rounds for that. We just need a round, 2, 3, whatever. But as long as he bring his game, I want Chad not to be the laid-back Chad. He mentioned laid-back. Watch what people say. They tell you normally what they're going to do or how they think. Because he's right. I don't want you to be laid-back, Chad. I don't need you laid back. Listen, to be laid back on an old man, it's not good. He's doing me a favor. So again, I'm going to give him something to work against me so I can be better. Because I'm a great dancer. But if my partner is an okay dancer, makes me look bad. And then y'all write about the boring fight. So Chad, we get a chance because my last two performances, they loved it. They'll tell you. And so your last performance, you showed heart, which you have, and you showed ability, which they say and which we say. But now let's both together work together to see who whoop whose ass the worst.
Not
we get one with the nail man in the center, please? Mr. Nail, we're getting the nail man in there. The nail man.